Hello, and welcome to another episode of AndersMill Myths. I'm your host, Emily, and you can find me on the internet under the Instagram handle of aka Millie907 and on Ravelry as aka Millie. We have a Ravelry group called AndersMill Myths, and we have a place where I usually update my show notes, which is called andersmillknits.wordpress.com. And I believe that is it, except for the fact that I'm wearing an epic finished sweater. Okay, I feel like a dork. But let me show you. I have finished my weekender sweater, and it actually fits. Look at that. I got a cute little booty going on. Yep. I'm getting muscle in my booty, so I had to show it off. And look at the shoulders. I like it. And look, I've actually got sleeves that fit me. What? It's because, okay, so here's what I did. There's 10 inches of positive ease in a weekender sweater. So, instead of knitting for what she said was my size, wow, I look like I have a uniboob right now because of the angle of the camera. Can we go down a little bit, maybe? And stop the uniboob? There we go. So, according to the pattern, I would have had 10 inches of positive ease. As it is, I probably have about 6 right now. At least 6. And I went down quite a few sizes to the size, not 9, size large. Then I added on length, I added 2.5 inches. And if I had to do it over again, I think I would still add yet another inch at least, especially to the front. And then I went down to a size medium on the arms. And because I have teensy weensy little arms, like they're ridiculous, and they fit. I was really worried though, because when I was trying it on before I blocked it, it felt really tight right here. And like I could feel the ridge. Right here is where you where you pick up for the sleeves. So see, it's a drop shoulder, saddle shoulder. And right here is where you pick up for the sleeves, right? And so right here, it felt a little rigid like. So, but when I blocked it, which by the way, I'm going to talk about that in a second, I really paid attention to that and just tried to loosen up the fibers. Now, I was at the yarn store the other day, and I was getting close to finishing. I was on the second sleeve. Who knows which sleeve that was anymore? No idea. I think it was this sleeve, my left sleeve. I was on the second sleeve, and I had one skein left to do both sleeves with. And so I figured that would be plenty, because like it only took 2 skeins to get the entire body done. So I figured I'd have plenty. But after I got about to the elbow of my second sleeve, I realized I was quickly running out of yarn. By the time I started to play yarn chicken, and by the time I got 2 rows of my 2.5 inches of the cuff done before I ran out of yarn. So what does a woman do? She breaks out her swatch and she starts unraveling it. And that's how I finished my second sleeve. So, I left it upstairs. Well, by the way, welcome to my parents' backyard. Sort of. A little bit. You can see their wood pile in the back. Isn't that attractive? And I started dating myself. So I bought myself flowers. So those are out. Anyway, that was not on topic. But I was really proud of myself. Like, I just had no doubt that I was going to finish the sweater. I had serious doubts as to whether I would like it on, because I was really worried about the fuzziness of my mohair. Can you see the fuzzy? Yeah, you can see the fuzzy. But to tell you the truth, it's awesome. It's a little bit unibooby right now, because I don't know. I guess this kind of helps a little bit to break up the unibooby, but whatever, you know. The one thing that okay, so I have a boat neck going on, and I actually kind of like that it shows off a little bit of the bra strap, because I think that that blue bra strap kind of shows a little bit. So I wish it was a little bit wider, like went out to about right here maybe. I don't know. But the one thing that I am kind of disappointed in, actually, let's just say it, I am disappointed in it, was the Kitchener stitching bind off of the neckline. It kind of makes it really stiff, which I guess maybe for a boat neck is a good thing. Now that I think about it, it's probably a good thing. But what it's doing to me is it's hitting me right on my jugular, and it just keeps on going, and it's right there, it's right there. And I'm not used to that. I mean, for heaven's sakes, as you probably know, I wear stuff that's low cut all the time. So this is new for me. But let's see. Let's find out what the weather is. Actually, I have my watch on right now. So right now in Anchorage, it's 43 degrees. And this is perfect sweater weather right here. It's sunny. It's beautiful. Yesterday we had amazing rain, and so it cleared everything up a bit, so it's not so dusty in the air. From, you know, spring in Alaska isn't the prettiest. But the sun is out today, and it's gorgeous, and it's just the perfect temperature to be wearing this sweater and nothing else. It's great. Now, okay, I jumped right into, you know, off the needles because I just had to. I'm sorry, I had to, because I love this. I love it, I love it, I love it. It's the very first garment I have ever knit that actually fits me. Like, actually fits me and looks damn good. I don't care if I get an explicit, but it looks damn good on me. And that makes me just feel awesome, you know? Just, yeah. So I had to go into it first thing. I'm going to be drinking a lot of water. The reason is I've had the weirdest, uckiest cold for the last 2 weeks now, where my throat is just raw and my voice goes in and out. I can't talk for too long before I lose it. I don't get it. But usually when I lose my voice, it starts sounding like this. But this time, it really starts to like get all gravelly like this, and I can't talk for very long like this. I just can't. So we'll see how long I can last. I've got lots of water and not too many things to share this time, so you know. There is only one thing I'd probably share about in my personal life, which was that I got to take a little trip, totally not paid for by me, but so that was really nice, out to Valdez, a little town here in Alaska. And so I made a little photo compilation of it that I will enter in right here. I love Valdez. Right now, it's in the ugly stages, but Valdez in the ugly spring is not even ugly. Um, so I tried to go a little bit of hiking in my favorite place called Johnson's Pass, but I almost got blown off a cliff. The wind was so strong. So I took some pictures of me standing in the wind. So you guys no doubt saw those with me going, I can't even open my eyes, and the wind is all blowing my hair and my face and everything. But it was worth it. It was awesome. So I had a great couple days there. I got to knit in a pub called the Fat Mermaid, where I had amazing food. It was great. I would highly recommend it. And then I knit on the dock of the bay, and I talked to a lot of the pipeliners that were there, and see already the whole, yeah. And just had a grand old time. It was amazing. So that was pretty much about it as far as, I mean, I did take another trip down to Kenai, or Kenai City. I went down to Kenai City to look at a motorhome that I thought I might want to buy and live in. I don't think it's going to work out. I love the motorhome. I just don't think I can afford it right now. It's a pipe dream. Oh well. It was a lovely trip with my best friend. He and I just had an awesome time and just relaxed and talked the entire time and ate terrible junk food. And we both were feeling it the next day. We were like, why did we do that to ourselves? And then at the same time, we were like, that was such an epic, awesome trip. So my best friend is a bit shy, or he doesn't like to be talked about. He doesn't like to be, what's the word, shown on things. So you'll probably never see a picture of him. But just so you know, he's pretty damn awesome. So, and it's really nice to have a best friend again. I mean, I have a best friend, but she's all the way back east. All of my really good friends are either down south or back east. And so it doesn't really work for me. So to have a best friend here in Anchorage again, it feels good. So anyway, that's enough about that. So let's go into what's in sessions, shall we? I forgot to bring my sock blockers because I have a half-finished object. So I have a hoe. I not only have one hoe, but I've got two hoes. That's right. I'm a pimp. I'm just pimping it. This is just really bad. Maybe that's going to be the name of this episode. I'm pimping it. That would be terrible, wouldn't it? I'm going to do it. Okay, so my first finished object, my first hoe, isn't she beautiful? And can be yours for $39.99. No. This is one of my self-stripings from a yarn jar. September Honey is the colorway name. And all I did was, when I did a color, when the stripes changed colors, I knit 3, slipped 1, knit 3, slipped 1 all the way around. And so you have this little tiny jog kind of thing going on every time there's a color change. And that was enough to keep my interest. I really liked it. And then, of course, there's something about banana something or other is the contrasting heels and toes and cuffs. So, or heels, toes, cuffs. There we go. It's a beautiful color. And look how well it matches what I'm wearing today. I knit these on my Interchangeables Chiagu size 2mm, which is I don't know. Well, it's a 2mm. I think that is at least a 0, if not a double US 0. And I've cast on my second one. I've knit the cuff and 1 stripe, and just barely did the stripe color change, because this and another pair of socks have really been taking up all of my loving attention. But this is it's such a relaxing knit. And I love, I'm doing a twisted rib. So knit one through the back loop and purl 1 for the cuff. And that is what I'm working on as far as that. And this is it in a ball. Isn't it beautiful? It's just a ball. I love Yarn Jar. That company is freaking awesome. Their colorways are amazing. I want to get more, but honestly, I'm just having so much fun knitting sweaters that right now I just really want to concentrate. If I buy any yarn at all right now, I really just want to concentrate on sweater quantities if I buy any. Even though I'm losing weight, I don't give a frack. I can still do it. So, you interested in seeing my other hoe? Na 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 na. Okay, this is really bad, Emily. You just gotta shut up. So here's my other hoe. You guys have not seen this sock at all unless you follow me on Instagram. So this sock I cast on last week and finished in less than 2 days. Actually, no, 2 days. I think exactly. I finished this in Valdez, my first night there. My only night there. And I did, for the first time ever, okay, wait, hold on. I cast on with Judy's Magic Cast On. I did a rounded toe, which didn't look very rounded to me, but that's what the directions said it would be. It looks like it's a gnome hat, and then at the very end of the toe, it starts going into the foot. That's where it starts to round. I want the whole thing rounded. I'm just going to tell you that. So I'm going to try this again sometime. And then I did, for the first time ever, a German short row. And then I did about 8.5 to 9 inches on the leg, because I really wanted a long leg. And so, let's see. Actually, I think what I did was, I think I did a little bit extra on my foot, which ended up to be, oh, I remember. Okay, so on my foot, I decided to do 7 inches instead of 6.5 inches. And that actually fit me so much better. My 6.5 inches I've been stretching my socks a little bit to get all my foot in. So I just needed to do it. And so that's what I did on the cuff. I did 7 inches on the cuff. I was like, 9 inches, that doesn't make sense. So 9 inches on the cuff, 7 inches on the cuff, and with about, I would say about 2 inches, I think I did on the 2x2 ribbing at the top, which I still need to weave in all my ends, so don't pay attention to that. What is the pattern, you might ask? This is the, oh freaking gosh, Times Square by Mina Phillips. I went ahead and bought her entire collection of socks because what I noticed is that she not only writes her patterns top down, but she writes them toe up. And I had mentioned to you before that I wanted to start doing more socks toe up. But at the same time, I really enjoy my top down. So if I like her sock patterns, maybe I'll want to come back to them later and knit them top down. Which, by the way, I love this sock pattern. It is just enough interest to keep me going. And yet at the same, can you guys see? There, that's a perfect representation. But at the same time, it's so easy to knit in company while you're having conversations. It's relaxing. It doesn't hurt my hands. This yarn is freaking amazing. It's online, super soft, merino, extra fine. And then colorway is, I know what the colorway is. It says on here somewhere. Colorway is 2289, and here is all the colorways they have in this one. Hopefully that's going to, oh God, can you see it? Sort of, maybe. Let's try that one more time. It doesn't want to focus. Sorry, guys. It's probably because I'm moving my hands a little bit too much. This yarn is so soft, and it knits like butter. Oh my gosh. Like, I can't stop knitting it. In fact, here I am on the second sock, and I haven't had as much time to dedicate to this sock since, because I have been working a lot and also been working on this sweater. But even with that, I think I've dedicated maybe a day and a half total. Like, I'm going to say like maybe 6 hours total to this sock. And this is what I've got already. So I passed the heel again, which I messed up somehow on the heel, but I just left it. I don't really know how I messed up. My stitch count was off, my wraps and turns, I don't know. Anyway, I just left it. I figured it'll fit. Even if it's a little wonkadoo, everybody's foot's a little off anyway. I need more water, sorry guys. But, okay, I needed a lot of water. Oh, that actually hurt a little bit. Okay. So this yarn is a little bit plumper than, say, the yarn jars. So I actually went up to a size 1 on these, and I went down to 56 inches stitches around so that I could actually compensate for going up a needle size, if that makes sense. So my circumference is still on gauge from me, and it fits like a dream. It really does. So I plan on knitting a whole lot more of online socks, super fine socks, believe me. And it just so happens that all of the colorways are carried by my local yarn store, so I'm good. And this is living in my Rusted Stitch. It's a retro sweater bag with retro polka dots on the inside. I love this one. So that's my second object, and those are my 2 hose. The only other project I'm working on at the moment is my shawl for one of my good friends, one of my best friends, Jamie. And this one, oh, I stopped in the middle of a row on this one. Okay, that's all right. I can still kind of show you a little bit. It doesn't look much different than it did before because it doesn't really change at all until the very end. So it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and it's called, it is called Midtown Magic. I can't see if you can see, so hopefully you can. Midtown Magic. And there's the shawl again. Okay, so you knit like 12 garter bumps, and then you do the lace section. And then you repeat that again and again. And as you go, at certain junctions, you add in more of the lace section, but the garter bump section stays the same width the entire time you do a repeat. So I am currently on the last garter bump repeat before I go into section 3, which then I go into my the major major lace section, which is this section right here at the very end. So I'm pretty excited about that. So what am I using as far as yarn? I'm using my Knitted Wit Love is Love colorway for the lace section, which is just utterly fun, fantastic. And then I'm knitting just a single ply merino, which is from Malabrigo single ply black, and I'm pretty sure black is the colorway name, but the tag is inside here, and I just don't feel like ripping it out and ruining my beautiful cake. So there you go. And I love it. It's a very comforting knit. As many of you may know, I don't enjoy knitting with single ply yarn, and yet this one hasn't been bothering me, and I'm wondering if it's because this time I am using needles that I really do love, which is Chiagu. So I'm knitting these on Chiagu's size, I think they're size Hopefully I haven't rubbed off the, I feel like I've rubbed it off. Nope. US size 5, 3.75 millimeter. And the tips are just perfect for single ply. They're sharp enough that it catches the yarn without making you work for it, if that makes sense. When you're working with single ply yarn, you really don't want to knit with needles that are dull or wood, I think, because the single ply has a tendency to be a little bit grabby on the wood, or I would think it would, or I would think it would. I'm funny. I haven't knit with it with wood needles because I just think that that would be atrocious. So I'm glad that I haven't. But anyway, so now I think this is the first time I've ever really knit actually on my podcast before. Maybe I should do it more often. Afternoons in the sun with Auntie M. Just knitting away. And I'm getting myself dizzy watching myself in the video. And do you like all the... Okay, so I'm under one of the trees. There's a lot of shade coming in and out. The sunshine's coming in and out. You can see it's like slashing across my face. I don't know. I just wanted to be outside today, you know? Gotta enjoy the sunshine. So that is my last object that I am knitting on, and I'm getting really close to finishing a lot of things. Obviously, an epic FO is on my body at the moment. So last thing is, what did I buy in the last couple weeks? So I was at the yarn store, and usually I try my hardest not to like talk about other like Etsy stores and all this kind of stuff when I'm at the yarn store. Only one of the ladies there that knits, she brought in some mohair that was dyed by this lady that I'm about to show you, and we all just gasped and we had to get some. But I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna get the yarn to knit that shawl, so I did. So this is Sweet Sparrow Yarns, and I got the Pajama Day colorway. So it is kind of almost a creamy taupey undertone with some purple speckles, purple magenta speckles, splotches in there. It's very, very pretty and subtle, and I love it. And I have 2 skeins of that. So here's the other one. I love, love, love this. And then I got it in the mohair colorway, which I might love a little bit more than I love the regular skein. And so here it is together. And this is going to be knit up together in a shawl. Can you guys hear the birds? Well, right now I can hear my mom chopping in the kitchen. She's chopping broccoli! Was that a Weird Al Yankovic song, or did my family just make that up? I can't remember. I don't know. And then Knit Picks was having a sale, and I got really excited about this. So I got buy one get one free. I got a grab bag from Hawthorne, from the Sock Labs Hawthorne base, and then the Sock Labs Stroll base, and they're grab bags. So you buy one get one free, and you have no idea what you're getting. This is the first time I've truly opened the bags, so this is how they came. And I don't know which one is which, so we're going to find out together. Actually, okay. So I'm a little disappointed in this one, but, I mean, I love the pink one, but the black one, I don't know. I'll find something for it. Even just socks. I mean, for heaven's sakes, a sock knitter, you need black socks, with white blotches, right? So, can I open this? Ugh. Here we go. Man, that was hard. Okay, so this is the Hawthorne fingering, and I love this, actually. I would not have bought this on my own, though, so I'm glad that I did get it here. And this is in the specimen 1809.04. So I'm wondering if these are just like one-offs or something, because I've never seen this colorway in there. So bitches will probably see it's got, see that? So that's what that is. So it's 80% Highland wool and 20% polyamide. So 357 yards. So just enough. So it's a little bit, they're saying it's fingering weight, but it's more like sport weight, honestly. 357 yards for 100 grams. That's more like sport weight. So heavy, really heavy fingering. Okay, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. It's actually pretty fun. Actually really fun. And this one is Sock Labs 2019, and this is zebra stripes. Ooh, that might be really fun. And it's the same thing. I think this is probably a sport weight or heavy fingering. I like it, actually. Actually, you know what? I'm glad they paired it together, because that would be rather interesting. Although, if I paired these together, you wouldn't get the zebra stripes. I want the zebra stripes. The things that I surprise myself with liking, you know? All right, so grab bag number 2 must be the stroll fingering. Just gotta open it up. And the first one out of this baby is specimen 1810.02. And this is the, stroll fingering. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it's 462 yards and 100 grams. So obviously this is a regular fingering. Actually, this is a light fingering, even though it looks pretty darn plump. Pretty darn plump, honestly. So must weigh nothing. That's really pretty, isn't it? I like it. It's a gray tonal. Like goes all the way, not like a slate gray, but it's got some blue overtones in it. Does that show up? No, because now when I put it up to the screen, it's kind of looking taupey, isn't it? Like a brownish. That's not what's going on. This one though, when I saw this, I loved it. Although now that I have it out of the bag, I might not like it so much. It's called specimen 1807.01. So this is what I saw in the bag that I loved. And now this is what I'm also seeing, this weird, I'm sure it's, and then this, it's like a brown going on right here. There's a yellowish tinge to the gray. It's a little bit off-putting. But, who knows? Okay, let's see what it looks like unskeined. Okay. So there's a large swatch of undyed, and then that goes into speckles of yellow and maroonish brown, and that goes on for a little while, and then it starts in. So this is where, okay, so this is what happened. It looks like to me. This is where they added. It was too wet. The skein was too wet, and they added in the gray. And it bled out and started to, it must have mixed a little bit with some yellow speckles a little bit. And it just got, actually maybe not, because see there's a very sharp definition. So maybe not. Maybe that was on purpose and it just didn't work out. Totally doesn't work out for me. And then there's this almost white. Let's see how it goes to white right here. Gray. Interesting. I will have to wait and see what it looks like, maybe in a swatch. There's enough here for a swatch, and then if I decide to do a shawl out of it instead of just socks, I can always take the swatch out and use that for my beginning garter tab, so that I know that I can use it all. So there's that. Okay, well that's all I bought. All I bought. You know, just 7 skeins, you know, in 2 weeks. You know, I'm totally going to get through my yarn stash. I do have plans. I do have plans to cast on a new sweater probably today. And I am going to make sure that I knit the proper size for that sweater. Just saying. So here's our little segment about mental health. And this week I thought I would talk to you about relationships, in particular friendships. I mentioned earlier in the podcast that I have a best friend who is male, which I never thought would happen. At the same token, I guess it's not any big surprise because my ex-husband, who, as you guys well know, put me through a lot, and there was some abuse there, is also what I would term a best friend. I have a lot of best friends. Usually, when you're a good friend of mine, I label you as a best friend. And that might be a good thing and that might be a bad thing. But I wanted to talk a little bit today about evaluating your friendships and where you stand in your friendships. When I returned home to Alaska back in December, I found that a lot of my friendships were no longer there. A lot of the people that I had depended on, even when I returned home visiting, just kind of, it wasn't a right fit for us anymore to be friends at all. And even a person that I had been friends with for 20 odd years, best friends in fact, she was my constant companion. We did everything together until I moved away, got married, and those kinds of things. She and I had to part ways as well. And it was a mutual decision. We both decided that our friendship was toxic, actually, and that we were not a good fit for each other. And that was really heart-wrenching and heartbreaking to come to that conclusion, especially at a time when I felt that I needed every friend I could have around me. I found myself very alone here in Anchorage, which wasn't really the truth because I had my family, but at the same time, I felt very alone because I ended some key relationships in my life. So as time has gone on, I've developed new friendships, and I have ended even some of the new friendships. I've taken a look at them and said, no, this is also toxic and not what I want in my life. Now, let's take a moment and talk about what I'm viewing as toxic, because some of you might have one idea and I might have a different idea. So for me, when I say a relationship might be toxic, there's a feeling inside me that I will become anxious, or I will worry that they won't like me if I don't agree to do something, or I'm always second guessing myself when I'm around them, or I say yes when I really don't want to say yes to something, but I say it because I feel like if I don't, I will lose this friendship. And that in a way is codependency on my part. Not on their part, but on my part. And so for me, that is a toxic relationship. I need to know that I have a relationship in which I can say, no, I don't feel comfortable doing this. Or no, I don't want to go out tonight. I actually just want to stay home and cuddle with my dog and not have a fear of them getting on my case or calling me lazy or, razzing me about it. And then me feeling guilty and maybe sometimes even ashamed. At the same token, these friendships, I need them to be ones that I can share intimate things, intimate ideas, thoughts, random thoughts as well, and know that they will be well received, but also challenged if need be. Not in a mean way, but in a, well, let's take a look at this. Is this really true? Earlier this week, I lost out on a job opportunity that I desperately wanted. It was my dream job, literally my dream job. And I was heartbroken because of it. And I was so sure that I was going to get this job that I let everybody know. In fact, they actually gave me the job. And then I guess another candidate came up internally that actually was a better fit, and so they went with them instead. Like at the last minute or something, I don't know, because they had actually technically given me the job. They just hadn't given me the offer letter yet. Anyway, besides the point. So I actually had to go back and tell a lot of people that I did not get the job. I was really embarrassed. What I discovered in the responses from these people were who my true friends were. Because I had some people who responded with, "You shouldn't have told me that you got the job because you obviously didn't get the job. You're a liar?" And I was like, "Whoa, what? No, I wasn't lying. Actually, they gave me the job on Friday, and then a week later they took it back." So, and then other friends would say, "Wow, that's really stinks." And then that's all they would say. Other friends would say, well, but then my true friends were ones that said, "Oh my gosh, Emily, I am so sorry. Are you okay? What can I do for you? What do you need right now?" And for a brief moment, about, I would say probably a good half an hour, I was really down on myself, and I kind of I did a lot of self-hatred thoughts and even text messages back to my friends. Things such as, "I knew I wasn't worthy of this job. I was just a pipe dream. I'm just crap." I even used the S word at one point. My true friends really sat there with me in that moment of uncomfortableness and challenged those thoughts. They didn't just sit there immediately and say, "Emily, that's a bunch of crap. Of course you're not," because that would have been placating to me. No, instead, what they did was, and three friends no, four friends in particular, no, five friends, because the fifth one was actually my ex-husband. They sat there and they said, "Okay, well, hold on a second here. Let's take a moment. This was really crappy and really shitty on their part. And yet, maybe there's something we can learn from this. No, you're not unworthy. I wish you could see that, like see how other people see you." One friend went so far as to say, well, actually, my ex-husband went so far as to say, "There has to be a really good reason as to this, so why don't you just give them a call and find out? Instead of just sitting there telling yourself there's all these things wrong with you, why don't you just call them and find out?" You know, and really sat with me through it. Another really good friend of mine, Anna, she called me on the phone and sat with me as I sobbed in her ear about it. And she didn't sit there and try to placate me and say that I'm so much better than this. Why am I even wasting my breath crying about this? She sat there and said things like, "Emily, man, this really just sucks. I'm so sorry. I love you. I'm here for you." That's really what she said. And she just sat there with me. And my other best friend, he's very much into the law of attraction. And he was saying, "Okay, well, let's look at the patterns here. There's so many things that have been going positive in your life. This might not have been a positive stretch for you. So maybe the universe closed this door so something else better could come along." And so he started to help me to think outside the box of pitying myself. These friends I really enjoyed. Another friend of mine, though, who I do need to end this friendship with as well, contacted me and said, "Well, why are you doing these behaviors? You obviously love yourself, so why are you getting on yourself?" And I was like, "Whoa, wait a second. How? I don't love myself. I've never loved myself. I've tried to love myself. I'm working on loving myself. I strive to love myself, and I have a goal of loving myself. But I have never successfully been able to look in the mirror and say, 'Emily, I wholeheartedly love you and accept you.' That has never happened. One day it's going to, though. I promise. Not only you, but I promise me that it's going to happen." Thus, the dating myself. So, and another friend, we had an event that night that we were both going to, attending, and she knew that a bunch of people were there that were waiting to hear if I got the job or not. And she said, "Emily, I'm just going to run interference. If anybody asks about it, I'm just going to cut them off at the pass and just take care of it." And she did. She didn't have to do that. Sorry, there's a spider. And she sat there with me. Sorry, more of the cold thing. And she didn't try to placate me. She didn't try to minimize my experience. She just sat there with me on it. Those are good friends, people. Those are really good friends. I want to challenge you to take some time in the following weeks to really look at your friendships. Who are there for you? Who can you count on to be able to talk to about these things? People that will forgive your I can't say that word, quirks, mind with, if you will, and love you for who you are, battered, broken, superhuman, and super fail. Whatever you are. I was reading an article, actually. I thought this was interesting. This came up. It's by Madison Taylor. And she says, there comes a time in our lives when we may need to evaluate our relationships, making sure that they are having a positive effect on us rather than dragging us down. Without realizing it, we may be spending precious time and energy engaging in friendships that let us down rather than cultivating ones that support and nourish us along our path. Life, with its many twists, turns, and challenges, is difficult enough without us entertaining people in our inner circle who drain our energy. We can do so much more in this world when we are surrounded by people who understand what we are trying to do and who positively support our efforts to walk our path. We can begin this evaluation process by simply noticing how we feel in the context of each of these close relationships. We may begin to see that an old friend is still carrying negative attitudes or ideas that we ourselves need to let go of in order to move forward. We may find that we have a long-term relationship with someone who has a habit of letting us down or not showing up for us when we need support. There are many ways to go about changing the status quo in situations like this, having a heart-to-heart with our friend, showing through example. This process isn't so much about abandoning old friends as it is about shifting our relationships so that they support us on our journey rather than holding us back. An important part of this process is looking at ourselves and noticing what kind of friend we are to the people in our lives. We might find that as we adjust our own approach to a relationship, challenging ourselves to be more supportive and positive, our friends make adjustments as well, and the whole world benefits. So I'm going to end on one little bit about me then, because she said to challenge yourselves to look at you as well. I've noticed something about myself that I don't like I've noticed quite a few things that I don't like about myself in regards to how I treat my friends. And I am actually striving to make that more of a priority. I have a tendency to think that I communicate really well. And a lot of times I don't, actually. There are a lot of times where I will double book myself, or I will make plans and not tell other people, but they might have an expectation that I would be spending time with them, or that this is something we've done in the past, so that it will naturally go forward being this way, and then all of a sudden I'm doing something else. So my thought process is that it's not so much that I need to just let everybody know what my schedule is in advance. It's just that if I have something that I usually do, like say for instance, my best friend and I, we usually spend every Friday evening together. And what was it? It was last Friday evening when I got back from Valdez. I had something come up at the last minute. Well, not the last minute. It wasn't even last minute. I just didn't even tell my best friend at all. And so he was expecting me to come over, and I had this other thing I was going to do. And all of a sudden he's calling on the phone, and he's just like, let's celebrate because they gave you the job and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, well, crap. I'm going to do this other thing tonight. And he's like, oh, okay. And at the time, being selfish and excited about everything, I wasn't really thinking about how that would affect my friend. But later on, he had the amazing comfort level and strength to actually tell me how that made him feel. It made him feel that I shrugged him off, that I chose somebody else over him. And he was like, well, we had usually spent every Friday night together, and then all of a sudden we're not spending Friday night together. It was just kind of a shock, and I just didn't know what to do. And especially when it was such a big deal this night for you, I just assumed that we would be together. doing our normal thing. That really hurt me to know that I hurt him. And I did that before my marriage too. I would make plans, but I wouldn't tell my husband. Um, and in friendships before, I would double book myself, or if something came up, especially family wise, I would cancel whatever it was, or I just wouldn't show up to whatever my friends were expecting me to show up. And that was actually a catalyst when I got back with my old best friend. They had planned on going, a group of friends had planned on going to do a Christmas event, and I had come home from work and my family was all there, and I had decided at the very last second that I wanted to stay home and have dinner with my family rather than go to this event with my friends, and that made them very upset with me, especially that one friend. And that was kind of a catalyst for why we had that heart-to-heart, and that ended in an argument, and we are no longer friends. That was the catalyst. That wasn't the only reason, though. There are lots of things that I don't do well. I have a tendency to overstep boundaries, and I need to stop that as well. I need to make sure that my boundaries are nice and firm. My energy healer told me that recently, that my third chakra, which is in your kind of like pelvis area, is kind of, as she described it, squishy. And that is the area that mainly deals with your boundaries and your relationships in life. And so that tells me that I have a lot of work to do in this area. I'm not perfect. I never will be perfect. The first and most important relationship I need to work on is the one with myself. And so I need to have boundaries within myself, which means that I need to know what things that I am comfortable with, what things that I'm not comfortable with, what things I love to do, what things I don't love to do, the people I love to be around, the values I hold, situations that I enjoy versus don't enjoy, and what I am capable of doing. So those things I really need to take time to evaluate. So, all of this to say, let's take the next couple weeks to just think about our relationships, especially our relationship with ourselves, and see, are we squishy or are we nice and firm? Do we have clear boundary lines? And do we have healthy relationships or toxic relationships? And how do we define toxic relationships? And how do we define healthy relationships? I'd love to see your comments below, so feel free to do that. Let's start a discussion about this if possible. So comment below, and also go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I hope that's the way. Or am I supposed to go this way? Hit the subscribe. Anyway, hit the subscribe button. Share this video if you feel like somebody needs a moment to also take some time for themselves and think about relationships and knitting. There's always the knitting. Thank you guys for joining me. And remember to knit what you love and love what you knit. Bye. Or as Tigger says, ta-ta for now.